Hello. Just before I get into this video, I want to thank everybody who has watched these videos so far, or liked them on Facebook, or liked them on YouTube or whatever. It's very much appreciated. It is for a good cause, so it's not as hard to donate your time, I guess, because it's for a good cause. But anyway, I'm rambling on. Today, people, I want to talk about a serious topic, and it's suicidal thoughts. Now, I'm not gonna lie here, I've had them since I was 12 years of age. I've sat in my bed, thinking about it, does my life have a purpose, and, you know, where am I gonna be 5 years, am I gonna be somewhere, am I gonna be nowhere, should I end it all? I've thought that, I really have, and I think everybody that's a teenager probably goes through that. I would imagine so. Forgive my ignorance if I'm wrong, but I think everybody goes through suicidal thoughts at some stage in their life, because, stress and that can get to them, and, it's just something that creeps up. It's whether or not you decide to act upon them is the main, point of depression and stuff like that, where suicidal thoughts come into it. Um, if you have suicidal thoughts and then you act upon those by, self-harming and stuff like that, and I'll go into that in another video, then, I mean, it's a hard subject, yet again. I mean, all these are hard subjects, and I don't really have a script, so I'm just kind of talking, for myself, really, just, going on about it. Um, the first time I had suicidal thoughts was probably when I was 12, 13, and I was in school, which, I've already talked about in the last video, and, I was under a lot of stress, I was under a lot of pressure, and I was worrying about a lot of stuff, and I think well, I'll be honest with you, I have self-harmed. I have self-harmed in the past. I don't do it now, but I did do it in the past. Um, yeah, and I went to the doctor about suicidal thoughts millions of times. I must have been at least 20, maybe less, but 20. It was a lot of times though. And every time the doctor would just say, "Oh, it's normal teenage behaviour." Um, I think that's very ignorant on the doctor's behalf of it, because I think if someone is showing signs of threatening to take their own life, or feeling really down, that should be taken as a serious matter, because at the end of the day, there's probably a lot of people that they've said that to, and then they've ended up in the ground 2 weeks later, because of something that they've acted upon, what they've been thinking about. So, I mean, I think suicidal thoughts come as a point of looking at yourself and just, questioning your worth to society, really. Um, for advice with people that are having suicidal thoughts, watching this video, all I can say is, from my personal experience, life does get better. It really does. Suicidal thoughts are, they're, at the end of the day, it's a thought that most people would have. I mean, if you go through your friends or family, they've probably had it at some point in their life as well, so you're not alone in that respect. Different people deal with certain situations differently. Some talk about it, and some choose to keep it built up. In my personal experience of having suicidal thoughts, I rarely told anyone about it. Basically because if I told my mum, she would worry about me, and I mean, it is something to be worried about, and that's just a mother's instinct. But um, I don't want to make this sound like I'm not taking it seriously, but I do think a lot of people. I do think a lot of people have suicidal thoughts, and it's not a minority. A lot of teenagers will have that. But like I said before, it's more in-depth thoughts that I'm going for. I mean, I think everyone has the odd now and again, I would say, but yeah, for me, it was questioning my worth as a human being. I used to think to myself, am I really worthy of being here? Uh, with the school thing and that, I was like, oh, I've not got great qualifications, which was in the past. I do now. Well, not great, but I've got qualifications now. But yeah, I was like, oh, I'll never get a job, and I'll never be able to live life to the fullest and stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, I still have them to this day, occasionally, when I'm worrying about something. But I think there's like times, like there's little things that I did that kind of acted out on them, which that really scare me and give me chills. Like I remember, I used to walk, and for at least a month, I would just walk across the road, and if a car was coming, I wouldn't look. And yeah, someone else did a YouTube video about suicidal thoughts and said that, and I was like, that's exactly what I did for a while, you know. So you know, it just shows that you aren't really alone in that respect. Parents, it is hard to tell your parents that you've had these thoughts, because if you've not really shown any physical signs of self harming, or you're you know, bottling it up and just putting on a smiley face to, you know, not show anyone, you know, it is hard to tell them this, because you know, some people, they don't believe you, you know, because I mean, there's a lot of people out there that just think people do this for attention and stuff like that, and you know, that's not really, not well, the attention they're looking for is not the attention they think that they're looking for. That's what I'm trying to get across. Yeah, I guess suicidal thoughts can be brought on spontaneously as well. So if someone's broke up with you in a relationship, you know, that can be pretty traumatic. A family bereavement, you know, failing something that you thought you were going to do, like a test or something that you really mattered, and you didn't do as well as you were expecting and stuff like that. Yeah, so that's suicidal thoughts can be brought onto that, and yeah, it's a really hard topic, because I don't want to offend anyone or anything by going on about it. A lot of people probably won't know this, but I went to a therapist for years. I still go now and again, just for checkups and stuff like that. And yeah, I had to discuss my suicidal thoughts to that therapist all the time, and that's quite an experience, because basically, you know, it's a stranger that you have to trust. I mean, I know they're qualified doctors and all that, but you know, you have to trust them with all this information that you wouldn't even trust your best friend with, really, sometimes. Um, and yeah, I mean, so like when I went to the doctors, like I was saying earlier, and they just said it was normal teenage behavior. I do think a lot of people that are teenagers do have this, but I don't think it's normal teenage behavior. I think that if people have this, it should be taken seriously, no matter what. Um, you know, I don't. I mean, if you say it's normal teenage behavior, and like I said earlier, someone goes and acts on it, then you know it's unprofessional on the doctor's behalf. Someone's lost a life which could have been saved, and yeah, it's a waste of a life, really, isn't it? Because someone who could have been helped, and you know, they've just said, oh well, that's normal teenage behaviour, there's nothing to worry about there. Yeah, I think that's very ignorant of, you know, doctors and hospitals and stuff. But yeah, the reason that I got referred to a therapist is because I was having suicidal thoughts constantly. I was having suicidal thoughts every night. I was self-harming. Yeah, so that wasn't a good time for me. And I discussed a lot of things with a therapist. I discussed you know, the suicidal thoughts. Obviously, I discussed my dad's situation. I discussed my worries about what I want to do in the future and stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, whether it helped or not, I'm not too sure. Um, yeah, I mean, therapy is a very half and half situation, because I think you have to be very open minded to do it. I mean, I'm not very open minded, and like, I'm thinking that, forgive me if I'm wrong, but most people that are depressed, you know, even if they're an open minded person, all their life, you know, tend to close off a little bit, and you know, don't want to do things or embrace stuff, you know. So yeah, therapy is very hard. I'm not gonna lie. You know, if you're suffering with depression or having suicidal thoughts right now, and you're about to go into therapy, I'm not gonna lie. It's a tough process. You know, it's it's hard to, you know, hear yourself say some things out loud, let alone when you think them in your head. Um, yeah, you know, the family finds out, and yeah, I mean, I guess you have to tell your friends at some point, and it's a very traumatic thing to go through, because I mean, it's, if you have like them for the first time, you're so shocked at, you know, how you could even think that. I mean, it is a very touchy subject, and I will try and, we've got 5 minutes of the video left. I will try and get as much more information out there as possible. Oh yeah, there's suicide hotlines. Obviously, if you've looked up Samaritans, or there's one called Breathing Space as well. I've never used them personally, but if you just want to do it confidentially and speak to someone over the phone about it, you can do that. But I have a problem with these things, and I'll go into that. The thing that I have wrong with it, I was watching a YouTube video. The guy that I referred to earlier, who was talking about suicidal thoughts, he made another one, and he was going to do some voluntary work for Samaritans, but he decided not to do it because one of the rules in Samaritans, if you want to apply, is that you can't actually stop the person from killing themselves. You have to say it's up to them, which, I mean, that is very kind of not the right way to approach it, because I think if someone, is capable of, walking and has all their limbs and all that, and they've got a good life and they just don't see it, I think they should, the world owes it to them to try and, turn them round and see what, is good about life and all that. And, I mean, if I was that guy that was going in for Samaritans, I probably wouldn't have done it either. But because if you had to, if you were speaking to someone who had suicidal thoughts, or was thinking about self-harming, or, taking their own life, and you couldn't say, no, don't do that. You have to just listen and say, well, at the end of the day, it is your choice. I couldn't do that. I mean, it's, it's a very hard thing to say, because at the end of the day, I would like to believe that if someone's depressed, you try and motivate them, and not just say, oh, well, look, that is your decision at the end of the day, and no one's going to stop you and stuff. Because it kind of seems to me that doesn't seem like a thing you would say to try and uh, I don't know, show that people care about them and stuff like that. Yeah, but yeah, that's what I would have a problem with those hotlines. But they can be useful in some ways, so I would recommend them if you don't want to do therapy or psychiatrist or anything like that. I do think they are good to a certain extent. Um, yeah, I mean, we have only got 3 minutes of the video left, and I'm trying to think of experiences and things that are out there to do with suicidal thoughts. Some of my friends have told me about. I've told some of my friends I've had suicidal thoughts, and they've told me that they've had it as well. I'm not going to mention names, obviously, because it's all confidential. Um, yeah, so you are not alone with suicidal thoughts. If anyone's out there thinking it's just them, it's not. I think you've got to try and make a go of it. Of life. Suicidal thoughts are an obstacle, I'd like to say, that certain situations in life and stuff put you down. But I think everyone is entitled to a life, and I think like I said before, I think I guess it would be the NHS I would classify it. I think that's letting a lot of people down, because I think if someone comes to them and says that they've had thoughts about taking their own life, or self-harming, or meaning to cause them self-harm, that they should take it seriously and try and help them out to the best of their ability, and not just say, oh, that's normal teenage behaviour. Because at the end of the day, if a 45-year-old, and I'm not saying that teenagers' depression is more serious than 45-year-old, but if a 45-year-old went to the doctors and said, yeah, I'm feeling depressed, I feel like I might take my own life soon, then they would probably prescribe them something, they would give them some kind of treatment, and they would take it seriously and that. And just because, I don't want to say kids, because I'm still a teenager, but kids, teenagers, come to them and say that, and I think that's quite wrong to say it's like a mood, or a fad, or a phase, because at the end of the day, I know everyone has it, but I think it's just the consequences of life, and it is serious, because suicide and depressions, it can build up over a period of time, but it can also be very spontaneous. People, like I said before, something might just happen to them, and they go, well, that's it, I'm hell bent on doing that, and it's heat of the moment thing. And yeah, we're coming to the end of the video now, guys. I would just like to say once more again, thank you to everybody who's liked this on Facebook, who's liked it on YouTube, who's subscribed to me. I've got 3 subscribers. Ooh, yeah, man. Jesus. KSI, watch out. Yeah, but no, I really mean it. Thanks for all the support I've been getting. It really keeps me motivated. And I'm sorry I've kind of rambled on and there's been a lot of pauses and that. Again, I don't like to do it from a script, to be honest, because I feel like it's more personal if I just discuss it, what's the word for it? Off by heart? Yeah, that's the word. The phrase even, sorry. You can really see how bad I am at commentary doing this live. But yeah, I should get to the outro now because it will take a lot of video editing this. But I'm sorry that I didn't get as much information as I probably could have. Again, I'm hoping that if you're watching this, if you're a friend of mine, or if you're just a random person that's clicked on this video that's experienced suicidal thoughts, or you know, self-harmed, or I've kind of made you feel better or gave you some options to try out. If not, yeah, again, I'm sorry. I'm trying to raise awareness, and I can only do that to the best of my ability. But as always, the charity's description will be down in the the charity's link will be down in the description, and my Facebook link will be down in the description. So if anyone feels like chatting about what they've been through or just a general chat, then I'll be right there. But anyway, this is the video on suicidal thoughts, guys. Thanks for watching and peace.